Hello and welcome to the Wooden Ball Show. I'm your host, Dave Ball, also known as Blinson on Reddit and @Blinson1 on Twitter. And like always, I'm joined by my partner in crime, Blake, known as @ChatMyKirk on Twitter and user BTownBomb on Reddit. How you doing, Blake?
Well, it's the most wonderful time of the year for me, uh,
Got your
though
football going?
Christmas. Yes, I got my Texas high school football on the television here. It is the final day of the season here. Three really good games. And pardon me while I go into a monologue here about it. I know there aren't very many people that are interested in Texas high school football that listen to this podcast, but I just have to say, these games so far has been absolutely terrific. Last night's games were incredible. Argyle, Navasota, they go into double overtime, and Navasota gets them. That ends Argyle's 31-game winning streak. They've won 31 games in a row before going into that game.
Wow.
And then Ennis and Cedar Park, they go back and forth. It goes down to the wire, and I think it was third down. Ennis completed a 40-something yard pass for a score to give them the lead with 20 seconds to go. So they snatched the lead from them there.
Hmm.
My other favorite part from these games, okay, Albany scores first in their game. Mason scores first in their game. West Orange Stark scores first in their game. All three of them lose. That never give up mentality is very evident in these games. Very back and forth, very tight contests, and that's what I like to see about them. They're all terrific.
Hmm. I understood everything you were saying there. I'm proud of myself. I
I,
actually understood football.
I'm very pleased. M-
uh,
most of
for
the
all,
time, it's like I'm talking to a wall.
yeah, yeah. I just don't. I'm just not a big fan of football. That's all I can say.
Well, it's an understatement for me to say that football is king in Texas. So,
Yeah, you are very big on football down there.
hmm
Yeah, so there's a lot of things happening in the NHL this week. Kind of the past couple weeks since we've been gone for a little bit. Uh, what should we start on the injuries or should we just go right into the mumps?
now I know this show, since we've been on maybe a month hiatus or so.
Mm,
Well,
I haven't been on the show in a little bit because you had Cassie last time.
hmm she was wonderful, yes. Uh, but actually, I do believe we have not discussed mumps uh, at any point in the show, and that's one of the big things that's been
Oh
going
yeah.
on in the National Hockey L for maybe going on a month and a half now or so,
Hmm.
2 months, something like that. Really, since the first couple weeks of the season,
Hmm.
um, we've traced. So far, people have been able to trace back to when it started. It was during a Central team's road trip, St. Louis and Minnesota, the two teams here taking road trips to the West Coast. They play in Los Angeles and they play in Anaheim. When they play in Anaheim in the first couple weeks of the season, that's when this whole thing really got started, and it spread. Minnesota's been hit hard by it.
Hmm.
Um, Recently, it's starting to hit more into the Eastern Conference now. A couple
Yep.
Pittsburgh
Oh,
Penguins have had it. Lee Stempniak is reported to have had it, I believe.
yeah. Derek Bassar, Tanner Glass, Ali Mata was just said they had it. Boo Bennett, Sidney Crosby. It's hitting everything. And I think in the Penguins locker room, one of their interns actually is supposed to have had it. So it's not just players getting it. I think there was an AHL coach that also might have gotten it. So, Rangers AHL coach. So it's hitting a lot of people. I think right now it's up to 15 confirmed players have had it.
Oh boy.
Travis Zajac, Crosby, Corey Perry, Bo Bennett, Derek Vassar, Emerson Edom, I think I said that name right, Tanner Glass, Ryan Suter, Ali Mata, Marco Scandella, uh, Jonas Broden, Clayton Stoner, Francois Bushman. I'm terrible with names, we all know that. And we're waiting on kind of see who the goalie is going to be of the Mumps team, which is right now officially named the Las Vegas Mumps, all because of what's going down in Las Vegas with the new team that may be appearing there.
That was another thing I was going to bring up. It's getting to the point where we can be able to fill out a starting roster of players affected by mumps.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me, and this is an actual thing that the NFL subreddit did last season, because there were so many players in the National Football League that had ACL tears.
Okay.
They were able to fill out a full offense and defense, all 22 guys that had ACL tears. And we're starting to be able to do that with mumps.
I remember a couple years ago when in 2011-2012 season, that was the year of the concussion. Do you remember that?
Oh boy. Oh yeah.
I remember them building teams based around that. And I remember at one point, the leader in the NHL in assists, which was Claude Giroux at the time, leader in goals, which was Milacek up in Ottawa, and leader of points, Crosby, or was it Malkin that season? I don't remember. But the three of them were both out with concussions at the same exact time, and they just kind of built a roster around those three. And it was kind of amazing to see all the players with concussions, because I remember Mike Richards had one that year. There was a couple of defensemen I don't even remember at the moment, but I think they filled out an entire 20-team roster of players with concussions, of like big name players.
That team must have been one to look out for, I guess.
Yeah. But I just kind of wonder where this really all started. I mean, it's down to really basically the patient zero is between the Blues and Anaheim right now.
Mm-hmm.
With one of the Anaheim players coming out saying it started from the Blues. Francois Bushman. Is that how you say that name? I am terrible. Bushman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he has come out and said that, I tell everyone who said the mumps started in Anaheim, if you look back where the players started missing games, the first team that had some kind of flu was the St. Louis Blues.
And he does have a point there. Yeah, that is what happened. I think it was a couple players, Steen, one of them, I believe, another one there. They were reported to be out with flu symptoms of the flu. They were talking about a flu bug going around the Blues locker room at the Scott Trade Center.
Mm-hmm.
And that was before they would go to Anaheim. And they did participate in that game. They participated in the morning skate that day, so they were in the locker room, getting all their germs all over things.
Mm-hmm. So,
but
if
purely
cleaned properly, it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah, and purely speculation here. If you look at it that way, then most definitely that could have been the mumps there. But if that were to be the case, the thing that would make me rather curious is wonder why the Blues, the team doctor, didn't notice that it was mumps right away, because they had maybe a whole day or 2 days before that game against Anaheim started when they had flu symptoms.
I think it may have been because no one really expects the mumps to be a thing nowadays.
Yeah.
So they weren't looking for the typical symptoms of mumps. I mean, the mumps, from what I understand, the mumps have been basically all but eradicated from the first world.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't look for it. When you see swollen glands, you don't really think, oh, it's the mumps, until it's diagnosed as the mumps, and then you kind of look back and how did we miss that? I mean, the Crosby picture, for example. Everybody, now that we're looking for mumps, we can easily find the players that have it because it is so obvious. When you have the swollen glands, it's obviously something might be the mumps, so they will immediately isolate them and test them. But back before we knew it was a thing, it's harder to find because you're not looking for it.
And also, I think what can be a factor is that mumps is not really contagious, not, well, probably contagious, though the contamination period for mumps is very small, maybe like a day, 2 days or so, I believe it was. And it's also not very deadly. Let's
It is
compare
deadlier in adults, though.
it. Yeah,
It's worse
but
for adults than for kids.
but, but still, not by much. It, it's more deadly in adults, but it's still not very deadly.
Because with kids, you're kind of looking out for it, but for adults, you don't expect it.
Yeah,
Almost all the players have said they've had their booster shots when they were kids, but apparently those go away, and they're not effective right now or something because players have said because it has come out that some organizations are offering it to their players, and it's still going around. So
that's what's
who knows
leading.
if yeah, go ahead.
That's what's leading a few people to believe that maybe this is a more mutated, more advanced strain of the mumps. It did come out that Sidney Crosby, back in the Sochi games, I guess
Yeah,
they said
he had a
he
booster
had
shot
a
there.
yeah.
They're all expected to get their vaccines and whatnot. So who knows?
And vaccines are usually good for maybe a year or so before you got to go
Yeah, it
get them
hasn't even been a
again.
year.
So,
It hasn't even been a year for them.
hmm
Unless, do they get it right in February or do they get it before that?
I'd imagine they'd get it, before they fly over to Russia.
Yeah. Okay. So, but it's kind of amazing to see how this all plays out.
Oh yes, we're fairly certain we have the when figured out.
But not the who.
Yeah, not the who, not
Or
the
how it's gonna
how.
go
Yeah.
away.
hmm
Honestly, this is probably one of the things that will only go away once the off season hits. Because then everyone's away from each other.
Yeah.
And it'll stop spreading like wildfire. So, it's something we just gotta wait for.
Yeah.
And just hope it doesn't hit our teams. Though if it did start on your team is basically immune now.
Yeah. We're good now.
I'm still worried.
We haven't had sick players since then. Actually, we've just had injuries with bones and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm kind of worried. My players still haven't got hit yet, and with I'm kind of expecting Claude Giroux to probably get it because of his apparently liking to bite jerseys off of people. So
Mm.
I can see him probably getting it somehow. But we'll see what happens there.
hmm
I guess we'll kind of snake into injuries now, unless you wanted to cover anything else on the mumps.
Well, no. We'll move on into the injury report. It kind of connects.
Yeah. Boone Jenner is out 1 to 2 months with a stress fracture. So I think I read that this is now 209 man games lost for the Columbus Blue Jackets and their players,
hmm
leading the NHL most likely with that. That's amazing, that many games lost because of all their injuries.
And you can really tell Columbus is really struggling from it.
Oh, yeah.
I did make the observation a few weeks ago, though, that some of the injured players that were injured earlier in the season are coming back now, and you can't entirely blame Columbus's losing ways, their winning woes, I guess. You can't really blame that on the injuries at this point.
I still can because they have lost a lot of big names players. I mean, Ryan Murphy's out right now, Artem Anisimov, Scott Hartnell, now Boone Jenner. For a while, Sergei Bobrovsky. With goaltenders, when you're out for a while, it's hard to get back into the rhythm of the game, into the flow,
Mm-hmm.
get your timing
Mm-hmm.
back. And with Ryan Murray, I think he's one of their best defensemen, and he's out of the lineup. And with what's his name, James Winooski, he constantly keeps going in and out because of suspensions. Jack Johnson isn't the player that they need him to be. They're losing big name players, which is hurting them a lot. And as these players keep going in and out, they're losing any type of chemistry they have between the lines, which is a big deal. So it's hard for them to keep into a rhythm if players keep going in and out of the lineup.
Yeah. Such a shame for them, too. They were coming into this season with a huge wave of hope, making the playoffs the previous season.
I'm happy they're losing. I mean, my team's not that much better right now, and we don't have the injuries to blame. But I'm happy they're losing. They're making it easier for us to get back into the swing of things.
Philadelphia was in the Mick Eichel race
Yeah,
for a little while there.
yeah. The subreddit, the R Flyer subreddit, is calling tank for McDavid right now. I get angry every single time I see it because I yell, "We're not the Penguins. We don't tank purposely." Have some pride, people.
You mean the Sabres?
No, the Penguins. They tank purposely.
Well,
The Sabres aren't tanking purposely. You could tell they're in a wild card.
yeah.
They're almost
Yeah.
in the playoffs, aren't they?
It's because, Enroth decided to be that he decided that he wanted to play lights out.
But also his team decided, hey, we're going to score enough goals. We're going to score more goals than them. They're not
That too,
tanking
yeah.
correctly.
Mm-hmm.
They're not last place in the NHL. So, they are currently 27th. So, tied for 25th actually,
Ooh.
with one more game played than the other two people they're tied with. So the other teams have a game in hand. So we'll see what happens with Buffalo. It's kind of surprising that they're actually doing better than originally predicted. And
Oh, yeah.
other injuries that have happened this week. Steve Mason is now out with just called an upper body injury, but many people are hoping it's just back spasms. Because he went down in practice yesterday when no one was around him, so no one collided with him at all. He was just moving and tweaked something in his back.
Hadn't he had issues with his back previously?
I don't think so.
Hadn't he had any injury issues? I think I remember knowing that he has in the past.
I don't remember off the top of my head. But I know he couldn't get off the ice on his own power. He had to be helped off the ice, and then people had to help him get out of his goalie equipment.
Oh.
So he's out at least this weekend right now, is all that's announced. The Flyers brought up Rob Zeppin's place, who was their AHL starter, with Ray Emery most likely getting the start again today against the Maple Leafs. And Rob Zepp might get the start tomorrow against Winnipeg, because he used to be an NHL goaltender before he went to Europe after no one signed him.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens there. Devils Camilleri is now on injury reserve. I couldn't find what happened to him, though. It just says he has a lower body injury. But that's something that happened there. And I don't know how well Camilleri is doing for them this year. Do you know off the top of your head?
I thought he was doing fairly good. He was getting a few points for
Let me look it up then.
more points than goals, I believe.
Stats. Player stats. Camilleri is currently 11 goals, 4 assists for 15 points. I feel like he's been sitting on their top line with Yager, so that's probably where a lot of his points have come from.
That is a fair point, yeah.
but yeah, sitting with Yager, and for a while he may have been playing with Scott Gomez on that top line, who is currently has 7 points in 10 games.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
No, apparently they want to know if I will fight you.
Will you?
I would totally fight you.
You will
I will
arm
win.
wrestle me.
I will win.
My arm wrestling skills have declined in the over
You
the
probably,
years, so
I have never had arm wrestling skills, so that will never not work for me.
oh,
But I will in real life fight you.
alrighty.
I'll fight you. Yes. Okay, there you
Excellent.
go, Jamish. I answered your question. What else? No, we're not gonna cover that. Not gonna cover that. Bust Buffet has said the Sabres aren't even tanking right now. Hey, they're not.
Yes. Yeah.
We covered that. And I don't think there's really else. We weren't really asked anything to cover. And is anybody else injured? I feel like I had somebody else on the injury list.
Off the top of my head, I do know that Jaden Schwartz was placed on IR earlier this week. He suffered an injury with his foot. I forget when, but he was out with a foot injury, and now he's week to week on IR. He was one of the 3 members of that STL line. So
That line was doing good for you for a while, wasn't it?
they were doing good. They were the only line doing things.
How did they end up doing before he was injured? Were they still doing things for you, or did your other team start to pick it up?
Yeah, I think there were. Everyone else started to kind of chip in there. Everyone else also on the first line kind of started to chip in. Paul Stastny's starting to get starting to get something going. He's had 2 goals on the power play during the last winning streak that we had.
Being a Paul Stastny, when are you going to eat that hat?
You did mention a wonderful idea of making like a hat cake, a hat brownie or whatever. Why not?
What was it that I told you to do? Oh, I don't remember how I worded it with you. Oh, it's gonna bug me how I told you about it. I don't remember. But Paul Martin and Christian Ehrhoff are both injured for the Penguins. That's 2 big defensemen going down for them.
Oh yes.
So, along with Ali Mata going down with another big defenseman for them. He's going down with the mumps. So now they have 3 of their bigger name defensemen out. And who else do they have on defense? Not like their defense matters, but who else do they have on defense? Simon Deprez, Chris Letang, and Rob Scudari are basically their starters, the only starters they have left on their defensive pairing.
Oh, how wonderful.
Yeah, they brought up Derek Pouliot, Brian Dumoulin, and Scott Harrington. So their defense is kind of having problems right now. They have a lot of players out right now. Pascal Dupuis, Bo Bennett, Chris Kunitz, Scott Wilson, Ali Mata, Rob Bertuzzo, Thomas Greiss, Christian Ehrhoff, Paul Martin, and Craig Adams. They have 10 players on injury right now. Wow.
Oh boy.
They're going to have problems, aren't they? Oh, well, it's the Penguins. I don't care. Anyway, next we have James Neal is currently out with an unknown sickness.
Ooh.
No one really knows what's going on there. And with his former Penguins affiliation, he may have contracted it because of that. Not sure how. So he could have the mumps.
Interesting, yeah.
And
Hasn't Nashville, haven't they played Minnesota recently?
let me look that up. Nashville. This season they have. Oh, they're playing Minnesota today.
Yeah.
And before that, they did not play Minnesota. Oh, this is the first time they're playing Minnesota. Are they division rivals?
No one really knows who hates Nashville. I don't even think Nashville knows who they hate, other than
I'm surprised they haven't
Minnesota.
played them yet.
Yeah.
I mean, they played the Blues, so they couldn't contract it from you guys.
Hmm.
Yeah, but it would have appeared by now if they did. But yeah, we'll see. I don't think anybody else they could have gotten it from. They didn't play Penguins recently, so. Okay, next 3 stars of the week. 3 stars of the last week were Tyler Ennis, Ryan Suter, and then Henrik Lundqvist.
Now the first star, Tyler Ennis, that goes. He's an example of what we were discussing just a couple minutes ago. The Buffalo Sabres. Enroth began this dreaded win streak by deciding that he'll play out of his mind all of a sudden, and then the team catches on to that, and everyone's starting to score, and Tyler Ennis is kind of leading that offensive charge.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing. The Buffalo Sabres are so bad they can't even tank correctly. But who knows what's really going on there? They're most likely going to fall back to earth soon, which is what Buffalo was hoping for. Probably.
Well,
I mean, there was a joke going around. I think one of the Buffalo writers put out they're going to start trading away all the players that start scoring so they can start tanking correctly again. I mean, that was put out as a joke, but just it's kind of funny to watch all the fans that didn't realize it was a joke kind of start commenting about it. Did you see that last week, Blake?
you know what else is amusing is kind of watching this civil war within the Sabres fan base. You have one side that wants the tank to occur, that does not like this recent good play,
The whole
and then
thing.
you have the other side screaming at him, calling him traitors and whatnot for wanting the team to lose because, quote unquote, that's not how sports works.
uh, Hey, I forgot the Sabres acquired a Jeremy D'Amigo from the Blue Jackets for Luke Adam. Not sure if this was a big. This probably don't think was a big trade for either of them.
The last time I've heard that name was when he was doing really well for the Toronto Marlies of the AHL.
Which team?
The Maple Leafs affiliate, the
No, I'm talking about
Marlies.
which player?
Oh, D'Amigo.
D'Amigo. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's where he was at. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. I don't know.
He was on the. He probably was on them, but he was on the Blue Jackets recently. So.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows? I forget who their affiliate is. Not sure.
The Blue Jackets AHL affiliate,
Yeah.
the Springfield Falcons.
Okay.
I that's one of the many things I can name off the top of my head. AHL affiliates of NHL teams.
Ottawa Senators.
Binghamton Senators, the B-Sens.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. You know how I know that?
How do you know that?
Because the Phantoms set an AHL record against them a couple days ago.
Oh, I saw you mention that.
Yes, they scored 3 goals in 21 seconds. It happened in the first 36 seconds of the game. It was awesome.
And
I was there for that, and it was amazing.
didn't their goalie? I saw their goalie had.
The goalie got pulled after 36 seconds with a 0 save percentage because it was 3 goals on 3 shots.
Yeah.
And a 300 goals against average.
So, yeah.
Because for those that don't know, to figure out goals against average, you do the number of goals against times 60 for the number of minutes in a game, and you divide it by the number of minutes you played. Well, with 36 seconds, that's zero point 0.6 minutes, basically. So, yeah, it's whatever 3 times 60 is 180 divided by zero point 0.6, which is 300.
Yeah.
And it was hilarious. I feel so bad for him, though, kind of. I mean, it's not going to be that hard to fix a save percentage like that. Because, get one shutout that's 3 goals and now, 60 minutes and 36 seconds. That's easily fixed there. It's not going to be hard to fix his numbers, but can you imagine what he felt like during all that?
Oh dear.
Like, he lost his team the game in the first 36 seconds of the game. Because the Phantoms went on to win 5-3. And they actually 100% outplayed the Phantoms. It's just they were playing catch up from the first 36 seconds on.
Yeah.
So, anyway, what was next? Go back to the 3 stars of the game. That's what we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So Tyler Ennis, he is the first star. Ryan Suter is the second star. He's always been a very good defenseman in the NHL. So, is he still being a workhorse for them over in Minnesota? Do you know?
Well, he does not have mumps, so there's that.
I thought he had him at one point.
Well, he
Yeah, he was on
probably
the Las
has.
Vegas Bumps list, I think so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I just wonder if he's still playing 30 minutes a game. Does it say how many minutes a game he's playing? I think it does. Now I gotta go to the NHL individuals. Time on ice per game. Yep, he's still playing 29 minutes and 33 seconds a game.
I know.
Playing half a game a night. Wow.
Now, you can see by him being named the second star of the week that Suter's really been upping his play again. Minnesota as a team, however, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Thomas Vanek has not been what they wanted him to be this for them.
And
Kind of was
and
a. Go ahead.
and they were hoping he would be the goal scorer there, but instead he's getting all the assists.
Mm-hmm. But at least he's
Which,
putting up points for them.
yeah, which I don't think that would be a terrible trade-off, but
But he was brought in to score goals on their top line, and he's just not doing it.
yeah.
I mean, Minnesota has always kind of been a team with a defensive-orientated type system. So I think they brought him in to keep that defense, but also at the same time improve on the goal scoring, which is something they kind of lacked.
Yeah.
And he's not doing what they want him to do. So, he led all defensemen and tied for Ryan Suter led all defensemen and tied for second in the league with 5 points in 3 starts for the Wild in this week. So that's 5 points for a defensive defenseman. That's actually pretty good.
Yeah, not bad.
Third star is goaltender Henrik Lundqvist, who had a 1.30 goals against average and a 9.51 save percentage and 1 shutout.
Oh man, he's really carrying the Rangers on his back right now. I haven't seen much from the Rangers in this past week really that tells me that they're doing real well. They're doing well, but they're not really incredible, I think.
Yeah, they could have been better.
Mm-hmm.
I don't put much judgment into the Rangers because whenever my team plays them, we do horrible. But I don't know if the Rangers are doing as well as people thought they would be doing. I don't think where are they in the standings right now? They are currently 4th in the Metropolitan, and I don't think they have a wild card spot either. So, nope, they're currently not in a wild card spot. So then they're outside looking in for the playoffs. And they're not doing as well as everyone thought. They thought that they would be fighting for second in the division behind the Pittsburgh Penguins. Because of how they did last year, going to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah.
Who knew losing Brad Richards would be such a big deal for them?
Oh boy.
But I know really the big reason for them kind of losing was that fourth line they used to have with, I forget who was on it, but their fourth line during the playoffs last year came out flying, and they lost almost all of them, or they did lose all of them. And it just hasn't been the same team for them. What else? What else? What else? Is there anything else you wanted to cover? Like, oh, you just muted yourself. Okay. Uh, Listeners, is there anything you wanted us to kind of talk about while I'm waiting for Blake to come back? I don't think I actually have anything right now. Uh, Today's games. Today we have the Arizona, the Arizona Coyotes going against the Los Angeles Kings, Colorado going against Buffalo, Philadelphia against Toronto, Ottawa against Montreal, Washington against New Jersey, Tampa Bay against the New York Islanders, Florida against Pittsburgh, Rangers against Carolina, Chicago against Columbus, Nashville against Minnesota, Calgary against Vancouver, and St. Louis against San Jose.
Oh, did not realize I had my mic off. Whoops.
Kind of scared me a little bit there.
Haha, nice.
Oh, thanks, Blake. Thanks. Anyway, I moved into the games that are for today.
Real quickly, at Buff's Buffet wonders if we had seen Clodeface. I did see Clodeface. It was wonderful. Did you check out that GIF there,
I'm
Dave?
watching it now, yeah. Oh, Claude Julien. I'm not a fan of his.
I don't think Bruins fans are right now either. And then he asks, is Blake a certified poop face? Well, I'm trying. I sent in my request to the American Poop Face Society. We'll see what they have to say. But hopefully they give me the chance to become a certified poop face.
And Josh there was wondering if you liked milk.
Chocolate milk, preferably, actually.
Mm.
I will, of course, use that regular milk, the 2% fat or whatever, in my cereal, because I'm not that weird.
We all know you are, Blake. Anyway.
I'm not quite chocolate milk and cereal weird, but I'm still pretty unique.
If you eat different cereals, it could turn to chocolate. So why not just start from the beginning?
That is true, yeah. But I think if I remember correctly, you'd actually have to make an effort, kind of stir the cereal to make it turn into chocolate milk. And I don't want to do that. I just want to eat my cereal. Come on.
So lazy you can't even stir your cereal.
It's a food. You're not supposed to. They just put it on a plate or a bowl and whatever. You're supposed to eat it. You know. There really shouldn't be any extra work there.
Oh, Blake. Anyway, looking at today's games, I guess we'll go down each game. Arizona first, as I said, was Arizona versus Los Angeles.
That's in the pregame right now. Yes. Tune in to 790 KABC or whichever one of the Phoenix area stations Arizona will be on right now.
It says FS-A and FS-W.
Fox Sports Arizona, Fox Sports West. That's their television.
Okay, thank you for... Yes, that is for those. I don't know how they've gone against each other. Season series... Wait. Why did it say March? Oh, that's later on. Never mind. I'm reading this incorrectly. On October 11th, it was the Arizona defeating the Los Angeles Kings in overtime, 3-2, with a winning goal by Ekman Larson. On December 4th, Los Angeles Kings shut out Arizona with a winning goal by Dustin Brown. So this could be a good matchup for the two of them. I think How are the standings right now for these teams? No, Coyotes are doing nowhere as good as people wanted them to be doing. Uh, Arizona is currently second to last in the division with 26 points, with Los Angeles is tied for third with 38 points. Though I believe they're on the outside looking in, because I don't think they even have a wild card. Are they in the wild card spot right now? Yeah, they are. They are in the wild card
Mm-hmm.
spot. But everyone kind of thought Los Angeles might at least be in the top 3 for the Pacific Division. Then again, no one really saw Vancouver doing as great as they are this year.
The thing with the Los Angeles Kings, in my humble opinion, they're not really built for to be really good in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen how it has been for them the past few seasons. Like, for example, when they won the Stanley Cup in 2012, they were the last seed in the NHL,
Mm-hmm.
or at least in the Western Conference. But they go on and win the Stanley Cup. They don't win the Pacific Division in the last season. They go down 3-0 against San Jose. They go up against a really good Chicago Blackhawks team. They still make it all the way down to the Stanley Cup final, and they win it. But in that regular season too, they were kind of shaky.
Mm-hmm.
They're so I don't really think they're built, to be a really good team in the regular season, or at least go on really good crazy pants winning streaks. They're more built to, I guess, kind of as a playoff team. They'll make it into the playoffs. Making it into the playoffs is one thing, but when they're in the playoffs, that's when they'll really turn it up.
Yeah, I know LA Kings Dave, who's when we talk about the Kings and the D4 show, he often brings up that the Kings are not built for the regular season. They always barely squeak in, but once they get there, something clicks for them. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's kind of what everyone kind of sees with the Kings. They start to panic until they realize they remember they're the Kings, and they'll get there. But this year, no one really expected Vancouver to be doing as great as they're doing. So everyone kind of thought the Pacific was going to be, Anaheim, San Jose, Los Angeles, running away with it. But
Yeah.
Vancouver's putting up a fight.
Well, they're kind of starting to struggle lately,
Mm-hmm.
but they did put up a fight. Yeah. Which leads me to believe that the solution in Vancouver was simple: get rid of Tortorella.
No one thought that was a good idea to hire him anyway.
Except for their general manager.
Well, wasn't their general manager fired?
Yes, their general manager also was fired. You bring in Trevor Linden, you bring in Willie Desjardins, who won a Calder Cup with the Texas Stars, and all of a sudden, Vancouver's one of the top teams in the Pacific Division there. Vancouver's problem, though, I think, is their defense, really, at the moment.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they traded away their big defenseman because they thought they were going to rebuild, so
Yeah.
no one really expected this to happen. So, okay, so next game. I'm going to go through all the games and then we'll do our picks for them. Our next game would be Colorado versus Buffalo.
Colorado last place in the Central Division, and wait, let me pull up divisional standings. Buffalo also last place in the Atlantic. They both have 28 points. Buffalo actually has three more wins than Colorado does. Colorado is 10, 13, and 8. Buffalo is 13, 17, and 2. Buffalo has, to the ire of fans in Buffalo. They have really been turning things up and playing some good hockey lately.
Yeah, I know we talked about that earlier, but see if they can continue on with it.
In Colorado, on the other hand, they've found a plus, I think, to having to shake up the roster because of all their injuries. Calvin Pickard, he's been doing fairly well for the Avalanche there.
Hmm.
Their goaltender there.
I know Colorado has not been doing as well as everyone thought, as many people hoped they were going to be,
Yeah.
because of I mean, last year a lot of people were saying they're not going to be as good. They're going to regress because of their advanced statistics were overwhelmingly against them. They were just extremely fast and kind of willed their way into the playoffs, where they were promptly lost in the first round. But
hmm
no one really kind of expected them to take this much of a backstep. What's your take on that? Did you kind of expect them to be as bad as they are this year?
No, not really. Actually, I I do believe they overperformed um, last season, but but still, the drop off is just this huge when you're in a division with Winnipeg and Nashville and Dallas, and you're in last place in that division. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That's the and that's not to say that Winnipeg and Nashville or Dallas would not be bad. That's just to say how so incredibly stacked the Central Division is.
Mm-hmm.
As a disclaimer, there, I don't want people angry at me.
Come on, everyone, riot at Blake right now. All listeners, riot at Blake. He says your team is bad. Especially you, Buffs Buffet.
I,
He says your team's horrible. He doesn't
the,
like your team.
you know how it is in sports. All of your teams except mine suck. So
Yeah, I guess that's how it works, isn't it?
yeah.
But, yeah, no one really expected them to be this bad. But we'll kind of see what happens there. Next would be Philadelphia against Toronto, starting at 7 p.m. tonight. I'm kind of scared.
Yeah, Toronto.
They've been
Ever
playing good
since the
hockey since the Nashville loss.
yeah, it that loss just must have shell shocked them so much to the point of wanting to play good.
Not wanting to have to go through that again.
Yeah, but and as a word of caution for Toronto, though,
Hmm.
this is kind of how their last season went too. Started off fairly good, dropped off a little, started off doing good again around this time,
And
dropped
then
off a little,
the
went on
last
another
eight
little win
games.
streak, and then just utterly collapsed.
So, I mean, no one's hopefully getting their hopes up with them because as you said, this happens a lot. But we'll have to kind of wait and see. Who knows? This could be the year Toronto turns it around,
hmm
just so they can lose. So they can go 4-1 against Boston and lose again.
Well, Philadelphia, on the other hand, since you follow the team more than I do, Dave, just kind
Bomber
of
for
open with
Connor.
Philly talk.
Bomber for Connor. Yay! No. It's been a very sad year so far this year. I mean, everyone kind of knew we weren't going to be, an amazing team. We knew our defensive limitations, but we kind of expected at least a bubble season. That's where a lot of people were putting us, as a bubble team. And we just haven't been. I mean, it's like the effort's not even there for the team, honestly. It's like they're not even trying half the time, which is sad because they have such an offensive talented team that you think they would be doing a lot better than they are. When half the nights they're trouble to score goals, and if they do score goals, they give up more. Steve Mason, while has been playing lights out, he just can't do as much. He can't stop everything. So, but we'll kind of have to see what happens. We we bounce back and forth with wins, so
hmm
Next is Ottawa and Montreal.
This one might,
This might be the game of the night.
yeah.
So,
It, it, I would think, it might surprise some people to hear that, but this one might actually be a very competitive game.
mhm. I mean, Ottawa hasn't been doing bad at all this season, and Montreal has been amazing this year.
Well,
I think they've been amazing.
they have had their moments of not being amazing. I'll tell you that.
All teams do.
Oh, yeah, that is true.
So, but they're riding off of Carey Price, Subban, Patches out there. They have a good team, so kind of have to see what happens with them. I With Ottawa though, it's kind of surprising. With they just fired their coach. I don't think we ever covered that. Paul McLean is out of
Yeah.
Ottawa, which was surprising to I think a lot of non-Ottawa fans. I mean, he just won the Jack Adams Award a couple seasons ago.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, who knows? I didn't see it coming. I mean, I did not see him the first coach firing of the season.
I mean, I did see it coming maybe within the next 5 years, maybe when his contract would run out,
Mm-hmm.
but not while, in the middle of a season, in the middle of his contract, that.
Playoffs too. That's the
Yeah.
thing. They still have a chance to make the playoffs, and you think a coach that has been kind of helping for that, though, from what I understand, he may have said something during a press conference that pissed somebody off.
Yeah.
I'm not sure when he said it, but I think it was along the lines of, with this team going to the season, I was scared about playing every single game.
Yeah, that really is not something a coach should say.
Yeah. So I think that may have been the reason he was fired, though. Don't 100% quote me if that was actually what it was he said.
I mean, I mean, though I do think it sounds a little far-fetched to say, uh, because he said something at a press conference, he was fired. It,
Hmm.
it was probably that may have just been like the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
You delve deeper into it and look at
Yeah.
how not very well he has been running the team. They just needed that one spark.
I mean, it's hard to run a team where you have a bunch of players who are you have a bunch of people that don't want to come to Ottawa because of the cap. He can't really do much with the players he has because they have that internal cap. It's difficult for coaches there.
Hmm.
So.
And you know what? Speaking of coaches firings, we forgot the big one.
Yes, that.
Yeah,
Doug
that.
Eakins. Another coach who was kind of just thrown into the fire and told to put it out with a tiny little cup.
Hmm.
And promptly when things started going worse, they just removed him and started and put in the general manager has taken over. Craig McTavish, he is now their coach.
And they brought in the
AHL coach as an assistant.
Their head AHL coach, who will no longer be their AHL affiliate at the end of this season.
Yeah.
They bring him in to be an assistant coach.
It's just what's going on at Edmonton. You think that at one point they're gonna hit bottom, but they just keep opening up more basement doors.
And now they're getting their AHL team into it. They're getting rid of Oklahoma City now.
Yeah. I don't know where this is gonna end. It's like they're on a giant, crazy Kevin Lowe, uh, crazy train.
Yeah.
But something's gonna happen in Buffalo very soon. I know. Was that with you that I was talking about? Or was that Dave? That we were talking about how, they're bringing in, they're doing an internal look at the organization itself.
Oh yeah,
Trying to figure out.
that was probably a you and Dave thing there.
Okay, because I know Cassie was replying to us about it, so it probably was a D4 show. But yeah. Anyway, things have been, they fired their coach. Dallas Eakins, I think, was just a scapegoat again, because this is now what the sixth coach in 7 years for them.
Yeah,
So I know there's been jokes going around with Taylor Hall having six coaches in 7 years, and he's like six all different. Every single year he's been in the NHL, he's had a different coach basically, and he's only 23, starting at 18. So it's amazing how things have been going in Buffalo. He's had six different coaches since he got into the league.
you mean Edmonton?
Edmonton. What did I say? Buffalo?
You said Buffalo.
Oh wow. I don't know why I was thinking Buffalo. Anyway, sorry.
Well, I mean, maybe it is difficult to tell the difference there.
Oh, see, Buffalo is actually building correctly, so I can't really compare the two.
Yeah, I suppose.
Buffalo actually is winning right now.
Mm-hmm.
Their tanking isn't working, so. Anyway, I guess we'll head right into the next game, which is Washington against New Jersey.
Battle of two mediocre, perhaps?
Washington's in the playoffs right now, I think so. I don't necessarily call them mediocre.
Fair enough.
I mean, it's in the Metropolitan Division, which is a giant clusterfuck of mediocrity,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
You have the Central Division, which is a clusterfuck of good teams, the
Oh,
Metropolitan Division, which is a clusterfuck of
I I want to get
mediocrity.
off Mr. Central's wild ride.
I want to get off the Metropolitan's wild ride. I'd rather go to the Atlantic or like, yeah, let's go to the Atlantic. They're an easy division.
I mean, let's look at our two division standings right now. Chicago, 45 points. St. Louis, 44. Nashville, 42. Winnipeg, 40. Minnesota, 34. Dallas, 31. And Colorado, 28.
I know your division is good. Your division's good, but ours is a clusterfuck in the middle of mediocrity. So at least you can kind of figure out what teams are going to be good.
Oh,
You have a lot of
yes.
you have teams that are overreaching in Winnipeg there, but
The
like
current
going to the season,
Metropolitan standings Pittsburgh,
yeah.
46. Islanders, 44. Washington is third. They're 15, 10, and 6 with 36 points. The Rangers have 34 points. The Devils, they are 12, 16, and 6 with 30 points. Columbus has 29. Philadelphia has 28. Carolina has 21. Yeah, I will say about New Jersey, they did kind of have a good start to the season,
Mhm.
but
Kind of dropped off since then for
yeah.
them.
However, they're building something with that first line with Gomez and with Yager and Elias. Was that the other one?
Henrique is on the top line right now.
Oh, okay.
Elias was moved down to the second.
But you know they're starting to get some points going on there with, especially with Gomez, who's appeared to have found the right fit again.
The Devils. He currently 7 points in 10 games now, so he
Hmm.
somehow is turning things around. No one knows how, but he's found the old Devils magic.
There you go.
He technically signed a deal with the Devils, so yes, we will kind of see what happens there. Uh, Washington's actually hasn't been bad this year at all. I know they started off really strong, and yeah, they just came off a 20-round shootout with the Panthers last
They
game.
did, yeah. Hmm.
So you can't really say the Panthers are bad right now at all
Yeah.
either. But yeah, it's amazing. They had Brooks Orpik scoring an amazing goal for a defenseman. I remember that going all off. Anyway, next game, Tampa Bay against the Islanders. How are you feeling about this game?
This is going to be a good one. The New York Islanders are not overperforming. I,
Hmm.
I would like to make that clear.
Yeah.
we talk about the Islanders' possibility of regressing. There's been several people that have mentioned that in the past.
I have.
Dave
I will
has.
say I have
Mainly
mentioned that they
more,
will regress.
I think with you though, it was mainly more hopes of regressing.
Yeah, really, that's actually what it was. I want them to be a
Yeah.
bad team.
But the thing with the Islanders is, when you look at this, I'm not much of a fancy stats guy, so I'm just taking other people's word for it, to be honest.
Hmm.
When you look at their stats, when you look at their Corsi or the whatever is going on with all that, there's no possible way that you can conclude that they are overperforming and will regress. The Islanders are actually putting something together good this year. And again, I've said this many times. This, I think, is because the Islanders have started to bring more people in. They're starting to no longer be the team that, if John Tavares or Kyle Okposo or both would go down with injuries, their whole season is in the pooper. They're starting to build that way. Yaroslav Halak is doing really good for them. They bring in Leddy and Boychuk, though I believe Boychuk is on IR.
I think he is, yeah.
But still, the defense is kind of starting to come around there. And the offense, the last time I looked at the team stats, Brock Nelson was actually leading the team in goals. I don't know if that's still the case.
I'll look it up. Currently, if it loads, player stats. That's currently leading in goals is still Brock Nelson,
Mm-hmm.
with Tavares at two behind. So.
And the thing that also impresses me with the Islanders, take a look at their record: 22, 10, and 0. No overtime losses.
Hmm. Yeah, I know that firsthand.
I mean, it's always, it makes a fan feel good about um, their team, and we're all guilty of it too when we say, well, at least we got a point.
Hmm.
The Islanders so far has not had to say that. They've either gotten the full 2 points or they haven't. That good kind of, they're in that middle ground there, which is good considering their record again, 22 and 10. If it was closer, then they'd probably want to just run away with a point.
Hmm.
But they're doing good for themselves right now. They're second in the Metropolitan, 2 points behind Pittsburgh.
Yeah, so.
The Tampa Bay Lightning, on the other hand, um, they have dropped off maybe just a little bit. They were tops in the league at one point. Now they're just sixth in the league. They are still first in the Atlantic Division. Montreal and Detroit are behind them with 42 points.
And Lightning just lost Ben Bishop recently, so.
Yeah, that's going to be one thing to look out for, to see how they handle the lack of Ben Bishop.
Mm.
I think in the coming weeks, up until he's healthy again, we'll really start to see what the Tampa Bay Lightning really are. If Ben Bishop makes them good, or if they're just good, period.
Yeah.
But still, I believe that should be a pretty good one there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, both teams are good, so. Yeah, we'll see how it kind of falls down for them. Next game is Florida against Pittsburgh. Florida has played amazing defense. I don't know if the St. Louis Blues have played against them, but
It
they have
was
a
it
great
was
defensive
a
system.
we beat them. What was it, 4-2? I think. with Brodeur in net.
Oh, so it was recent.
Yeah.
But normally they have an amazing defensive system. Winning, I think they've won the most one-goal games this season,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of where they're getting their points from. I think they have a lot of overtime points. Let's say. Yeah,
Florida's
they're currently
record
14,
currently.
8, and 8. So they
Yeah.
got at with of those along with so they have those 8 overtime points, that 1 point from that, plus 4 more from overtime wins. Like four more games they won through overtime.
And going
So
back
that's
to when I was
16
talking about
points right there.
overtime points. Overtime points are really more of a case by case basis, I think. If you're the Islanders and you're not getting any overtime points because you're settling all your games, actually, I remember what that means is they're winning all their games that they go into overtime or the shootout.
Yeah.
That I don't know why I didn't think of that. So
Yeah,
there you go.
currently the Islanders have 16 non-shootout wins.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the Florida Panthers, of their 36 points, 16 of them have come from 16. Yeah, 16 of them have come from
Yeah,
overtime points.
yeah. And that's what
So
I was.
that's
That's what I was
that's
getting.
almost double. Like they almost have the same amount of regular wins as they do as overtime wins.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to as well. If you're the Florida Panthers, you'd most assuredly still want to take all the overtime points you can get.
Mm-hmm.
And you know who's really been helping Florida out this year? Aaron Ekblad.
He's been doing amazing for them.
Oh yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, first overall pick, so kind of threw him right in. And everyone kind of thought again the Florida Panthers aren't probably going to be as great as they are. But bringing in Roberto Luongo, a top-notch goaltender. They brought in Willie Mitchell, who's been around for a while, so they're they've built something that could actually work with their defensive system.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when all else fails, you'll have Roberto Luongo steal you games. But
Now then, on the other side, the Pittsburgh Penguins. They,
mm,
I think how I would describe how they are right now. They're kind of in a funk, I guess.
mm,
They're still tops in the Metropolitan.
not difficult.
Yeah. But they're starting to get some injuries or getting the mumps going around. Their defense is just in shambles there at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see just how good they will be doing here in the next few weeks or undisclosed amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think this one can be a competitive game.
Yeah, it can be.
Mhm.
The firepower of Pittsburgh against the defensive system of Florida.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I can definitely see it being a good game. Next is New York Rangers against the Hurricanes. And, well, the Hurricanes aren't a great team, to say the least, and the Rangers are better. The Rangers currently have, 34 points, while the Hurricanes currently have 21.
The
Uh,
thing with the Carolina Hurricanes, I think, with the exception of maybe a couple games in this recent losing streak, I guess. This more recent one, maybe in the past 2 or 3 weeks, they've actually played quite a few games in which you could say they should have won. Paul, our resident Canes fan, I believe he says they've just had some really bad puck luck these past couple weeks.
mm-hmm.
They played the Devils 2 weeks ago, maybe, and the Carolina Hurricanes, get this, had, what was it, 94 shot attempts, I think is what
Wow.
it was, and they still lost.
That actually right there is some bad puck luck.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The New York Rangers, on the other hand, as I did mention when we were discussing the 3 stars of the week,
Hmm.
they could be better. They're not bad, but they could be better.
Yeah.
And it kind of feels like Henrik, maybe he's putting the team on his back there, Yeah.
I mean, that's what you kind of expect from a world-class goaltender like Henrik Lundqvist.
Oh
So when the
yeah,
team
definitely.
is going bad, Tim to kind of reel things in
Hmm.
until things get over, until the team gets over what they are doing.
That's what I like about the goalies too. They're like the secondary captains.
Yeah.
Uh, when the team in front of them isn't doing good, they'll just say, you know what? All right, I'm in. Take charge.
Yeah. All right. Next game is Chicago against Columbus. Columbus has injury problems. Chicago's very good.
Yeah,
So,
it should probably be a one-sided game there.
yeah.
Um, Jeremy Marin will be playing against his former team
Mm,
tonight. The thing with Jeremy Marin, I gather, is he was one of the brightest up and coming stars for the Blackhawks, but he could just never.
get it
Well,
to click.
yeah, he could just never get it to click. Also, what didn't help was that for some reason he appeared to be in Joel Quenneville's doghouse most of his time there.
Yeah.
But now he goes to Columbus, a team where he would be much more useful on, compared to Chicago. Uh, I think it might work out for him.
Yeah. Never know.
Hmm.
So. Next, Nashville against Minnesota. That could be a good game.
That could be a good game. Hmm.
Not sure who would
Uh,
win. Nashville is very good right now, though I think many people are saying they're playing above their offensive numbers. They're like overreaching for their offensive numbers.
well, now they do have Peter Laviolette, and I do know you
That's
know a
true.
couple things
Yeah.
about Peter Laviolette.
He is a very offensive-minded system, and with the defense Nashville has, he could probably make it work.
Hmm.
His system definitely needs a big-name player in it, big-name defenseman, and they have that in Shea Weber
There you go.
and Seth Jones. So they could actually make it work.
And the
Minnesota,
offense is starting to click. They have Philip Forsberg doing some great things for him there.
oh, James Neal is out tonight. Ribeiro is playing great for them. Who else is on their team?
I
Jokinen's
bet,
on the team, isn't he?
I bet you haven't had to say that in a while. Michael Ribeiro is playing great for them.
I don't think I've ever said it. All right. Uh,
And
Next game.
Minnesota on the other flip of the coin there.
Kind of talked about them earlier with Ryan Suter. They haven't their offense hasn't really clicking with Vanek there.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, they're currently what? They're currently
They're
20th in the league.
fifth in the Central,
Mhm.
3 points ahead of Dallas. Winnipeg is above them with 40. And Nashville is third in the Central with 42. Two ahead of Winnipeg, two behind St. Louis, three behind Chicago.
Yeah, Nashville's kind of tapered off a little bit from when they were leading the league. So,
I'd still look out for them, though, to be
I'm
honest.
definitely going to look out for them. They're definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with when they get to the playoffs.
Hmm.
So, I
And
know with Peter Laviolette actually, and everyone but the Islanders, the first season he's with the team, he's taken the team to the Stanley Cup Finals.
mhm.
He did that with Carolina and he did that with Philly, so maybe he could do that with Nashville again this year. Yeah, we'll see what happens there. Next on the list was Calgary against Vancouver. Another a Canadian matchup that should actually be a pretty good game again tonight.
Speaking of teams not expected to be real good, how about the Calgary Flames?
Who's that defenseman that they have is playing amazing? Forgiano, is that his name?
Oh, Giordano, the
Giordano, that
team
one, yes.
captain.
Yes, he has
Um,
been. People have been throwing Norris Trophy in his name.
he
He's
is
running around
leading
with
the
his phone
league.
there.
He is leading the league in points by defenseman, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, when you're being considered for a Norris Trophy, you have to be doing pretty good, and he has been kind of leading Calgary. So,
Yeah.
and then I know we talked about Vancouver earlier and how they've started to kind of slow down a little bit. Yeah.
And once again, that it's mainly the defense, I guess you could say. Other people will say, it's all Ryan Miller, but
I mean, you can't expect a goalie to be 100% every single game.
yeah, and the thing with me and Ryan Miller.
You love him.
Oh boy, I want him back.
Jersey. You got a jersey with his name on it.
I did. I want
Even
to.
though I told you not to because he was gonna be gone. And what'd you say to me, Blake, after I told you he was gonna be gone?
Probably the same thing I told everybody.
That he's coming back.
I'd hope so.
I'm
I
pretty
want
sure
him
you told
back.
me no, he's not leaving. I'm pretty sure you told me no, he's not gonna leave. He's gonna sign back with us. And I'm like, no, he's gonna leave after you're done. And you're like, no, he's not. And then he left. So I was right.
Yeah,
Just like I was
and
right
I
about
want him
Paul
back.
Stasny.
I want him back, especially right now. And to be fair, I do believe Paul
Has
Stastny would not have happened if Ryan Miller did not leave.
Yeah. Has Elliot and Allen been bad for you guys or something?
Well, Elliott is injured. That's what's
Um,
kind of caused this whole goalie kerfuffle here.
Kurt, yeah.
Is
I
that the right
mean, I
word?
didn't know
Kerfuffle?
before they were injured. I don't know. Before they
Yeah,
were injured,
before.
were they doing that bad?
Or not absolutely. They have been doing very well, yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Say then, why would you want Ryan Miller back if your team is actually if your goalies haven't been doing horrible?
because Martin Brodeur is on our team now. Trade Brodeur to
And he still
Vancouver.
could have been
Bring
on your
Miller back.
team. I mean,
Yeah.
he still could have been on your team, for all you know.
Hmm.
It could have been destined for you guys to be the ones to pick up Martin Brodeur.
Well,
Anyway. Next was the last on the list, St. Louis against San Jose.
okay, I will tell you about the St. Louis Blues recently. They were on a 6-game winning streak, if I remember correctly. And Brodeur did get a couple starts in those games. He came in relief for Jake Allen against the Islanders, and they come back from a 3-0 deficit to win that game. He started the game against Florida, and they win that one. We beat LA after being down 2-0 and then scoring 4 in the third. But it was 3-0 for us last night, and then LA ends up winning, or not last night, Thursday night, and then LA ends up winning 6-4. So that's the end of the 4-game losing streak. I really think there's something about the Staples Center, though, that we just don't play very well in that arena. Our last win in the Staples Center was in the 2011 season. Just think of how totally different your life was in 2011.
Very different. I was still in high school. No, 2011, I was in college. What am I talking about?
Yeah. You were a college student the last
I
time the
know.
Blues won in the Staples
Yeah.
Center. The last time the Blues blew a 3-0 first period lead was against Los Angeles, and it was in the Staples Center. There's just something about that arena. Maybe the team in general, we do considerably better against them in the Scottrade Center than we do at the Staples Center, but maybe, there's something about the team, too.
Yeah.
But the good news, I guess. There was one great moment in that game Thursday. It would have been funnier if we were winning, but there was a moment in the third period where Broder made a save,
Hmm.
which was rare in that period, um, and they couldn't find the puck. The refs were there. He was shaking and whatever. Because I guess the puck got lost in his pads or something. So he was standing there for like a minute and a half or so, maybe just a minute, just
Right.
feeling around, trying to shake it out, and then it eventually comes popping out his leg. So that must have been amusing to see.
Hmm.
But um, and Jake Allen is starting tonight, so there's a positive, I guess. We are without Jaden Schwartz, um, so that's really affected that line. The lineups, once again, how Hitchcock does it. They're being shooken up again. The the biggest hope, the biggest confidence booster I have is how not good the Sharks have been this season so far.
You don't think they've been that great?
Um, well, I mean, not as good as they were supposed to be, I guess.
Hmm.
I mean, they did sign John Scott. They are
You mean
using.
Captain John Scott?
I do mean Captain John Scott, or rather, Captain Hockey Babbler. Shout out to Hockey Babbler. Um, I don't know. That one might actually be a fairly good, fairly competitive game.
It should probably be a good game, yeah.
Being on the being on the West Coast in general, though, is not very good for us.
I don't think so. You guys are just not good on the West Coast.
Yeah, no, most of the time, no. Once again, our record against California teams, this is home and away, last season was 1-9-1.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a lot of losses.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I guess now we'll go down our list of which games we thought who was going to win each game.
Alrighty. Uh, I'll let you go first, Dave. You have host privileges.
Okay. I have a list here, so I'm going to keep track of both of these, just so we can go back to it next week. Arizona against Los Angeles. I'm going to pick Los Angeles. Going to pick the Sabres to win against the Avs.
Interesting, and that is not your upset pick. Interesting.
I did that. I pick that because of the Our Hockey Daily Pick'em. So I picked the Sabres for that. So I'm just going to continue on with it. Philadelphia is obviously going to be Toronto because I'm a homer like that.
Nice.
I can see it'll be the Canadiens beating Montreal. Uh,
You just said the Canadians beating
yeah, I'm
Montreal.
deciding on which Washington or New Jersey. I'm
Well,
gonna
no,
go
you
with.
said you basically said the Canadians will beat themselves just
Oh,
then.
did I say that?
Yeah.
I meant Ottawa. Jeez, Blake, you know what I meant. God, Washington's gonna beat the Capitals.
Oh, you did it again.
Wow, Washington's gonna beat the Devils. Uh,
Excellent.
I'm not even drinking yet, so I'm gonna blame that.
Oh,
Okay. Lightning against Islanders. Who should I pick? I'm gonna go with the Lightning to beat the
Ooh,
Islanders.
there you go.
Uh, hmm. Pittsburgh's gonna win, as much as I hate to say it.
Hmm.
This is my upset pick right here. I'm gonna pick the Hurricanes against the Rangers.
How so?
I just feel like the Hurricanes are gonna do it. They're gonna end the 5-game win streak the Rangers are going on. Don't know how they're gonna do it, but I feel like they're going to do it. And because I hate all things Rangers and I want them to lose.
Oh,
Chicago against Columbus. Chicago. That's kind of easy. I'm gonna pick Nashville over Minnesota. Uh, Vancouver over Calgary, and then St. Louis over San Jose. Okay, so now you.
okay. Oh, Los Angeles has a power play right now. They're not
Don't
very good at it
ignore
though,
that.
but
Don't look at
they
that.
have
I'm
them.
not looking at it. Gotta look at that when you're making your votes.
Well, but I do think LA can get that one. They're really good at home, not just against the Blues, but they're good at home in general.
Hmm.
Mm, I still think Colorado can beat Buffalo.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, Toronto over Philadelphia though.
Ooh.
Though I think. Though I think further down the road, it might not end well for Toronto. In the now, in the current time, Toronto's still a pretty good team.
After I pick the Blues, Blake, you do this to me.
Montreal defeating Ottawa. It's at home. The Bell Center's going to be rocking. Uh, and Montreal's still one of the top teams there.
Uh-huh.
Washington over New Jersey. New Jersey's got some injuries to deal with, and I think Washington they can handle the Gomez and Yager duo there. I think that shouldn't be too much for them. The Islanders over Tampa. The Islanders are rolling right now, and I don't see it stopping anytime soon. Uh, Now we'll get back to those two in a minute.
Oh, upset pick. Okay.
One of those two. So, uh, Chicago over Columbus. Columbus is still dealing with a lot of injuries and might not end well for them tonight. Nashville over Minnesota. Minnesota is still not quite. Still has yet to get things going.
Uh-huh.
Calgary over Vancouver. Vancouver's in that little slump right now, but Calgary and Giordano, they're still rolling. St. Louis over San Jose. Jake Allen starting in net. Everyone else is starting to contribute in the scoring. I think that should be a good night for the Blues here. Okay. Give me the Rangers over Carolina.
Rangers over
Think
Carolina. Okay.
the X Factor, Henrik Lundqvist. I still think he'll continue his excellent performance with putting the team on his back and rally the team to a win there. Which leaves my upset pick. Give me the Florida Panthers over the Pittsburgh Penguins. Aaron
Okay.
Ekblad, Nick Bjugstad, the Florida offense are on fire. And Pittsburgh's defense is in shambles right now. I believe you said earlier they have only 3 of their starting defensemen there. The rest are, AHL call-ups or whoever.
I have it
Give
marked
me
down.
Florida over Pittsburgh.
See how well you do, Blake.
Oh boy.
And I actually have a thing to look at this time to make sure we do it correctly or not. So we're not just making things up. So. Okay. So unless there's anything else you wanted to cover. I think we got.
Last question from Buff's Buffet. What about cereal plus banana milk? There's a thing. That's a thing, banana
Hey,
milk?
you didn't know that was a thing?
I actually did not.
I thought you were all
I,
things milk. I thought you knew all things milk.
well, not all things milk. I am
But
a
you're the
milk.
king of milk.
Eh, I mean, if you would bestow that title upon me,
I bestow you that title. You are now the king of milk.
oh boy, now I have to learn about banana milk.
As the king of lunch cuisine, I give you the title of king of milk.
I'm gonna go to Wikipedia and look up all the types of milk now. I got to be familiar with
Gotta be familiar
who
with your
I'm.
people.
Yeah, to become the ultimate milk connoisseur. I like connoisseur though, because that's a nice word. Call me the milk connoisseur.
The milk connoisseur.
Yes.
Okay. I'll try to remember that.
Okay.
Alright, I don't think there's anything else we wanted to cover. So
That's
I
all the
will.
talking I have to do.
Yep, so I will now do all the ending bits. Okay, you have listened to the Wooden Ball Show with your host, Dave Ball, here, also known as Blitzen on Reddit, Naplinson1 on Twitter. You've listened to my partner in crime here, Blake, who is at ShatMyKirk on Twitter and BTownBomb on Reddit. You can find us and all of our other shows on ourhockeycast.com. You can look at our subreddit, which has a list of all of our shows and all the past episodes there, r/rhockeycast. Our YouTube page is also rhockeycast. And you can follow us on Twitter, and then our other co-hosts, they will say their Twitter names and their shows. But you can go to the rhockeycast Twitter, which is at rhockeycast. And the other shows we have are Monday nights at 9:30, we have the Puck and Awesome Show. On Tuesday nights, we are officially announcing a new show coming on, which I think the current name is called Puck Luck, which they will kind of go. The first show will kind of be going over all the advanced stats that they're going to be using to cover the topics within the NHL and all the other games. That will be on, I think it's 10 p.m. on Tuesday nights. On Fridays at 8 p.m. we have the D4 show, and on Saturdays at 3 p.m. we have the Wooden Ball Show today. So unless Blake had anything else you wanted to mention there, because I think I heard him want to say something.
Now, who are the hosts for that news show there?
It will be from the old R Hockey After Hours show. Ben from that show, Chris, who has I think been on different shows within the R Hockey Cast family, TJ, who I don't think we have ever had on a show, and then Austin, who you guys might remember from the Penguins coverage that we did this summer.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. That one might actually be a rather interesting show, especially for the stat geeks that listen to our hockey cast. There's a treat for you there.
Yeah, I know. At least Ben and Chris are very into advanced stats. I think TJ might be into it also, and I know Austin's trying to learn it. So it should be very interesting to kind of see how they all go about it and how they can kind of teach it to a bunch of people who, like myself, do not understand it whatsoever.
Oh, yes.
It'll be definitely fun to listen to. Okay, so that has been it. I think I covered all the ending bits. So have a good night, everybody.
Enjoy the games.